Welcome back to Road to Victory. This is round number 3 of the afternoon session. So the round starts with me picking up this 11-point hand, balanced hand, first chair, vulnerable. For me, this isn't close to an opening bid. I'm aggressive to open when I'm non-vulnerable, but you won't see me opening too many balanced 11-point hands when I'm vulnerable. So I passed, and my opponent passed, and Joel opened a spade in third chair, and the opponents came in with 2 hearts. I felt like I had 2 pretty tough choices here with my hand. I could either just make a simple raise to 2 spade bid, which would be undervaluing my hand a little bit, or I could make a 3 heart bid, saying I've got a maximum passed hand and a spade fit, which is about the approximate strength of my hand, except for I have these 3 little hearts, which I really don't like. I'm not a huge fan of starting with 3 little of the opponent's suit, because that means that the hand might just start out Ace of Hearts, King of Hearts, and another heart getting a ruff, and it's going to make it pretty hard for us to make whatever final contract we end. So even with that, I feel like my hand is pretty strong. I'm going to have a tough time expressing my values later, so I just decided to make a 3-heart limit raise, and the opponent came in doubling. Now, I feel like this is something pretty important to go over, the meaning of double here. Double, sometimes when we double our opponent's Q-bids of our partner's suit, we're trying to tell our partner, okay, partner, it's safe to lead your suit. But in this particular case, East's options are very limited for ways to actually show a heart raise. They can only really bid 4 hearts. And so rather than a 4-heart bid here is a little bit risky, because we've done a pretty good job of expressing our strength on the hand. So if we're not going to bid 4 spades, there's quite a good chance we're going to actually double them in 4 hearts. So sometimes East wants to say, hey, I have a heart fit, but I'm a little bit afraid to bid 4 hearts. And that's what this double means. And so it's important you talk about this with your partner, though this is a very standard treatment of the double. Double just says, I want to express my fit to you, but I'm unwilling to commit to 4 hearts. So over the double, Joel jumped to 4 spades, and that ended the auction. So they led the Ace of Hearts, and now let's take a look at Joel's hand. Joel had this 6-5 hand, and people often, when you're sitting in a pair game, you pick up your 6-5 hand, and you're always wondering, what should I open? And typically, actually, with clubs and spades, you should open a club, because opening a club, whenever you have spades as your second suit, it's going to be pretty easy for you to describe your 6-5. Your partner's going to respond usually a diamond or a heart, and you're going to get to bid a spade. And then over whatever partner bids again, you can rebid 2 spades, and you've said, hey, I've got 5 spades and 6 clubs, and a minimum hand. So that being said, Joel was in third chair and decided that since we're vulnerable, the only way we're really ever going to end up competing over the opponents is it's most likely going to need a spade fit from me. So he thought, why tell my opponents my distribution? Let's just investigate to see whether I have a spade fit right away. And he decided to open a spade. And once I showed a limit raise, Joel really doesn't have a good way to know whether we're going to make 4 spades or not. But he certainly, if we're going to play 4 spades, he doesn't want to be doubled. So his best bet was just to jump to 4 spades directly, rather than waiting for the opponents to perhaps bid 4 hearts and then give them a better opportunity of doubling us. So after the Ace of Hearts was led, they continued another heart, making Joel rough with his 5-card trump suit. Now that they've made him rough, he's really in a position where he cannot handle 4-1 trumps anymore. If he tries to draw 4 rounds of trumps, then by the time he knocks out the Ace of Clubs, the opponents are gonna have a bunch of good hearts. So Joel really just has to cross his fingers and hope that the spades are 3-2. And so he cashed a round of trumps and played a trump up, and they were 3-2. So he finished drawing trumps and knocked out the Ace of Clubs, and as soon as clubs didn't break 4-0, he was able to claim. Now let's just take a look at West's hand here. I really like West's decision to just bid 2 hearts. Their partner's a passed hand, and they're non-vulnerable against vulnerable. Bidding 3 hearts has a lot of downside on this particular hand. You're balanced, and when you're non-vulnerable against vulnerable, your partner is going to be thinking about sacrificing over your opponent's game, and you have a terrible hand to induce a sacrifice from your partner. You have a lot of defense, you have the Ace of Clubs and the Ace of Hearts, and you have a ton of losers, so sacrifice looks like it's going to be a losing proposition. Also, your hand opposite a singleton heart plays very well defensively, and it would suck to end in 3 hearts opposite a singleton heart. Okay, that brings us to the end of this board, and on to board number 22. So here we picked up this six-card heart suit, and our partner opened a spade. Unfortunately, we do not have a weak jump shift available in hearts. We play like most expert pairs play, that one spade past 3 hearts shows an invitational hand with a six-card suit, at least a six-card suit. So my only choice here was to bid 1 no trump, and that bought a 2-club bid from Joel. Now before the game, we discussed playing a version of a convention called Bart that my brother taught me about 5 or 6 years ago, where 2 spades, going back to partner suit, actually shows a constructive hand, like 8 to 11 points, with a doubleton spade. And bidding to 1 under 2 spades, which is 2 hearts, relays partner to bid 2 spades, either with the intention of me passing when I have a garbage correction to spades, or bidding again when I have an invitational hand. Now, so the last part of this convention is that when you have hearts, you bid 2 diamonds, and that shows hearts. So I bid 2 diamonds, and Joel passed. Now, unfortunately, either I mentioned it when we were discussing it and Joel forgot, or I forgot to mention it and Joel just passed my 2 diamond bid. Either way, this obviously makes it clear that when you're discussing agreements, make sure you get through every little bit of your treatments. So they lead a club, and awesome. We're here in a 3-2 fit, and instead of us yelling at each other, I can't believe you passed 2 diamonds, we talked about 2 hearts, blah, 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 really all we can do here is do the best we can in our 3-2 fit. So when you're in a disaster situation like this, the first and most important thing to go through is, well, what contract is everybody else going to be playing in? And so probably everybody's going to have a similar auction where over 2 clubs they bid 2 hearts and they play it there. And so if we're in 2 hearts, how's that going to do? So we see that 2 hearts might lose a spade, 2 diamonds, and 3 hearts. So there's a potential for 2 hearts to go down. So if there's some way I can scrounge up 7 tricks for down 1 and 2 diamonds, then we can turn this disaster into an average board. So that's all that's going through my mind. So my natural start on the hand was to play the ace of clubs and lead dummy singleton heart. Now when they did play a low heart, it really felt to me like they had not ducked the ace of hearts, though this particular situation, with them knowing I have long hearts, it's really not a difficult spot to duck the ace of hearts. It just didn't feel like they had ducked it. However, I'm in this position where if I lose the heart and they come back a trump, I'm not really going to have a good chance of taking my 7 tricks. So I decided that even though I felt so much like the ace of hearts was offside, that I would just put up the king and hope for the best. And it didn't work out. They did win the ace. And however, they didn't return a trump. So that leads me to believe that if I had got the heart right, that maybe I was actually going to get out for down 1. But so now what I did was I won the club in my hand, and I led a spade up towards the king, and unfortunately that lost 2. So now they finally came back a trump, and I won it, and I was able to just cross ruff for 6 tricks. I was able to ruff a spade, ruff a heart, and ruff a spade, and then that was that. And you know, I really feel like now looking back that this person had king jack 9 fifth of diamonds, even though it was a pretty clear-cut spot to be leading trumps back. Obviously I was planning on, I didn't want to draw trumps myself, and them losing the trick to it was never going to cost them to play a dime back. Even if I did have the queen, it was just, they were cutting down my ruffs, and it was just no chance that that a diamond was going to be bad. But it feels like maybe if I did put in the jack of hearts, I might have actually been able to scrounge up 7 tricks. And it turned out that if I had made 7 tricks, I would have almost gotten an average board, but now I got 5 match points on a 64 top. And now it's just one more thing, is East, knowing that we've had a disaster, I would just lead a trump right away with that hand, even though it's from king jack 9 fifth. The most important thing they can do is just cut down our ruffs, because they know we're in an inferior contract, and it's not going to be a bad thing to lead a trump. So there we are, another disaster from not being an established partnership, but you know, what can we do but move on to the next board. I hope you enjoyed it, and welcome you back next week for round number 4. Thank you.